Hey everyone, Duke Nukem 3D here again with another mask from my collection, and today I have for you my United States M25A1 Chemical Biological Tank Protective Mask. Now the history on this mask is a bit lengthy because this is a mask that I have studied for quite a while above most other US masks. The M25A1 kit was devised sometime in the early 1960s, around 1963, some sources say 1962, as essentially the ultimate variation of the M14 series tank gas masks. Now, this is a bit of a recent discovery I've made on these masks, which is sort of why I'm making this video. The M25A1, believe it or not, is actually designated the M14A3. Now, I may sound like I'm joking, but I'm not. I actually have a copy of a very, very late issue M25 manual that covers all the details on maintaining the M25A1, M25, and M24, but we'll get to that later. And it basically just says that the face piece, like just the mask filter and hose assembly alone, is called the M14A3. So that leads me to believe that the designation M25 is essentially just a term created to create less confusion. It is just basically a kit designation. So this is even more backed up by the fact that a lot of M14A2s were basically reconfigured and relabeled as M25s by the addition of outsert mounts and the upgrade of an M116G microphone. But a lot of cases you'll see during the Gulf War that you'll see older M14A1s and M14A2s without modifications being reissued and relabeled as M25. So this, until further evidence comes to light, it is my firm belief that the term M25 is basically just an umbrella term for the M14 series. So for all intents and purposes, though, the M25A1 face piece is designated M14A3, which is kind of amazing if you think about it. But anyhow, the M25A1 was used from the Vietnam War all the way up through the Gulf War and was finally retired sometime in 1994, where by that point it was mostly used as a training mask, and it may have continued use as such shortly after, but until before that period, it was the mainstay combat vehicle crewman's protective mask for the U.S. military, just as the M24 was, the M42 was coming into play. The M25A1, like most combat vehicle crewmen's masks, had the ability to hook up to the tank crewman's helmet intercom system through a proprietary installed microphone permanently fixed into the nose cup. It had the ability to hook up to the tank's collective protector gas air filtration unit, but with a coupling on the end of the vintage World War II style M10A1 canister, which continued production into the 90s for these masks alone, by the way. And were obviously, they were much thinner rubber than the earlier M14 series. They were pretty much just trying to cheapen the design. There seems to be a trend with combat vehicle crewmen's equipment with, oh, you're inside of a tank, you don't need as durable equipment as the rest of the military. So through this fact alone, you'll see that M25s are a bit more prone to damage than M14s. One thing to note, the M25A1 and the M24. The M24 is the air crew version of this mask, typically used by helicopter crews and so on and so forth, and they are very, very, very similar. There's very little difference between the two. However, the main differences are in the microphone cord, whereas you can see here the M25A1 uses a, what was it called? I don't know the designation for this microphone plug, but it is a female type where the prongs go into the plug itself, whereas the M24 uses a male type where it has prongs sticking out of the plug. Not to mention the fact that the M24s also have a telltale microphone that sticks out from the front of the nose cup and can be seen through the lens, whereas the M25's M116G microphone is completely embedded inside the nose cup and cannot be seen from outside the lens. Another detail is that M24s are typically issued without the M1 canister coupling, because for reasons, I guess. And the M25A1 uses the M13 or M13A1 carrier, which is worn on the left side, whereas the M24 has it worn on the right side for some reason. But before I ramble on to history any further, let's get down to the kit before I run out of camera memory. So this is your typical M25A1, M13A1 carrier. This one is marked for a size medium. My mask is a size small. This originally came with a medium, but the reason I don't have the medium mask anymore is a long story, and I won't get into it. It is made out of a semi-waterproof OD nylon or canvas duck material. However, later iterations of this carrier might have been made out of nylon. As you can see, it is one of the few U.S. carriers at the period that still opened with lift the dots. However, later variations of the carrier, again, opened with a pull tab and Velcro, which the Velcro M25 carriers seem to be a lot more common than the Velcro M17 carriers, which I'm not entirely sure why. I would think they'd be issued around the same time, but whatever. As you can see, you have the long shoulder strap, but this was sometimes used as a waist strap during the Gulf War, which I don't recommend doing. I don't know why they did it, because it's only effective when sitting down, because when wearing this mask leg carry, you can only wear it properly sitting down. If you stand up, that hose will be way too short. But anyhow, here's the waist strap, or the hip strap rather, I guess. And interestingly is the same thickness as the shoulder strap, which is a nice touch in my opinion. U.S. gas mask carriers don't really do that as much, but anyhow, here are the markings on the inside of the carrier, which are probably hard to read. Inside the carrier, you can see two fleece patches for protecting the lens of the facepiece. You have a large pocket here for the winterization kit. There is a small pouch throughout the back there for the anti-fogging kit. You have a pocket here for the manual, the chemical detector paper, or some sort of decon kit, as some manuals mentions for. And then, I'm sorry, bumped the camera. And then here you have the retainer straps for the hose to keep the filter in place. On the back of the carrier, you may have noticed this grommet here, and that is not only to let air pass, but for the M1 filter coupling to stick out of. That is about it on the carrier. Here we have the manual for the mask. This is a 1983 dated example. Nothing too special about it, just a manual. It goes over the basic features you need to know about using, maintaining, repairing, sort of, the mask. Here we have the ABC M5 tank gas mask hood. Now this is very similar to the the M6 hood for the M17 mask. However, this is designed for the facepiece of the M25 series, and it is kind of a poor quality hood. It is, I'd say, feels even cheaper quality than an M6, and these are a bit difficult. Well, not difficult to get on, but I don't really see them maintaining a proper seal. But basically, it's just an M6 series hood for a panoramic mask. And I have read that during the Gulf War, some M25A1s were issued MCU2P hoods, and I have actually used an M25A1 with an MCU2P hood before, and I must say it is a big improvement. So if you're wanting to do like a Gulf War CVC kit, I'd totally recommend picking up one of those. Here we have the M2 anti-glare outsert, which was normally just issued to the M24, however did sometimes see service with the M25A1 and M25 as well, just due to the fact that these were so commonly issued during Desert Storm, and they needed something to, obviously you couldn't wear your sun dust and wind goggles over the lens, so this is their, they started issuing these to tank crews. Here we have the ABC M3 winterization kit, which is designed obviously to prevent the mask from accumulating frost on the operating surfaces of the valves and the lens. You have the winterization lens, which again snaps over the front here. You have these two cords to maintain a seal around the lens, which is kind of interesting. You have a rubber pad here, which is again helps to maintain a seal. And an interesting thing to note is that these snaps go both ways. So you can snap the M2 anti-glare outsert right onto the M3 winterization outsert, which is kind of cool, to be honest. This is probably the only example I've seen of a double outsert. So, and then you have the kit itself, which is basically just a padded cone that goes over the front of the mask. I'm not going to install it because it's a pain in the ass, and these two cords go over the top of the lens, which is kind of interesting. You have a patch right here for the microphone cord to stick through. The Velcro is kind of stiff, so I'm not going to bother with it. And that's about it. It's made out of chemical suit material. Kind of interesting. You have the M25A1 personal decon kit. I've shown it in previous videos. I'm not going to go over it again. You have the M1 waterproofing kit, which is the later style, and this is the last type of the M1 waterproofing kit that they issued. Nothing too special to be said, just a olive drab plastic casing with a blue or gray cloth inside, covered with a tacky material to prevent the lens from fogging. And before I get into this long hose here, I'm going to go onto the mask itself. So, as I said, the mask is made out of typically a natural black latex rubber. However, later iterations like this one, this 1980s MSA example, were made out of sort of a butyl latex mix. So similar to how you see later M17s being produced, where it was not fully natural rubber, it was a mix of butyl and natural rubber, as far as I can tell. The hose is interesting because it is completely crush-proof. It is made of a very thin rubber that is reinforced with wire and a nylon coating. So this hose is virtually indestructible, and it's very hard to find these being destroyed. I've only seen a couple examples where these have been abused to the point where it is collapsed in some section, and that is due to a fault of the wire itself. The canister, as I've mentioned, is a vintage surplus M10A1 canister that was either continued production or was just reissued for the M25 series. It has the M9 carrying sling on it, which I don't really see used very often. This was so you could wear the canister outside of the M13A1 carrier. And of course the M1 filter coupling, which I'll get more into detail with in a moment. You have the microphone cord, which I've showed off before. You have the markings on the top of the facepiece, United States, small. You have the manufacturer's roundel on the side of the facepiece, dated 1983, made by MSA. I used to have a size medium version made by ILC Dover, but unfortunately I do not anymore. The back of the head harness is simplified. It is the C15 harness. The M25, which again is just rebranded M14A2s, used CAR1 harnesses similar to the M17, but the M24 and M25A1 used C15s. Now, before I move on to the inside, I will demonstrate the this thing here is the 9-foot variant of the gas particulate filtration unit hose, or the collective protector hose, and this is the type of hose that would be used to supply to give supplied air to the mask of the crewman, so breathing would be effortless. And think of how a pneumatic coupling, like for an air wrench, attaches. It's basically like that, but scaled up. Simple as that. And these are bailout connections, so if you need to exit the tank quickly and this is given a hard enough tug, it will pop off. Simple as that. And that's all you really need to know about the hose. It's very long, and I don't want to go pulling it out of this wrapping right now. So just take my word for it that the thing is 9 feet long. Now I'll take the mask off the head for you, show it off really quickly, and then wrap up the video. So before I do that, here's the bottom showing the C15 outlet valve, another MSA marking. This time the valve is dated 1984. Close-up of the facepiece showing the outsert mounts. Another close-up of the manufacturer stamp, just in case you didn't get a good enough look at that. And then the inside of the mask itself. As you can see, very cozy mask. They're very smooth rubber. The nasal cup is very nice as well. No problems there. You can see the microphone throughout the back there and the outlet valve below that. And forgive me if I'm going kind of quickly, just trying not to waste all my time here. You have outsert mounts, which is unique to the M25 facepiece, or the M25A1, or rather the M14A3, I should say, facepiece. So, and these are only for the prong type outserts, and not for any wireframe type. And that's pretty much it. So, the M25A1, really nice mask to have in your collection. It's not one of the most durable ones. In fact, mine is very well used and has a lot of problems with the rubber condition. There's some dry rot around here and underneath there and around the outsert mounts. But overall, it's a nice mask. I'd definitely recommend it if for your collection, if not like an M14, because those are a bit more desirable. But anyhow, that's about it. I'm Duke Nukem 3D. If you feel like I missed anything or have any additional info, any comments, questions, or concerns, feel free to always drop them in the comment section. I'll get to them when I can, and I will see you all later.